So I'm sure everyone here has probably heard the news and the fallout of what happened with Charlie Kirk. And I'm not going to really talk about Charlie Kirk's death or any of that stuff. More, this video is going to be about his thoughts or my thoughts on his death. Because simply the issue is his death kind of I don't want to say affected me. It didn't affect me in the sense of like it changed me. It only reinforced a lot of my biases and opinions. For those who don't know, several years ago I did run for a political office. Because I've had tragedy in my life and I wanted to do something to better the community. And I felt the only way to do that was to run for office. And the reaction that I got from my candidacy ranged from, I don't want to say people hated me. It was more people didn't care, to people asked that I drop certain aspects of my campaign. Which I've known for quite some time that had I sat there and said that I could cut your taxes in half, I would have won by a landslide. But I didn't do that. Instead, I spoke my truth, and the problem with that is a lot of people can't handle truth, even though they say they want truth and that people deserve to handle or deserve to know the truth. They simply can't handle it. I remember exactly what I was doing when this happened. I had just stopped for lunch when I saw the first video by the Quartering on YouTube pop up, where he said that Charlie Kirk was shot. And I'm not going to censor myself on this video. I'm done really censoring myself. I'm still not going to swear in the main videos, but I'm not going to, unless it's something really bad, I'm not going to prevent myself from saying these things. So I stopped for lunch and I saw the video, and my immediate reaction, because let's take a step back. I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I never was. I respected what he did. He was an individual that was willing to go into the lion's den, per se, and stand up for what he believed was right. I know a lot of people have stated that some of the things he said was provocative, and when you're in a space like that, you're gonna say something that is provocative. So I saw the initial video, I saw the close-up. I'm not going to get too much into details on that. What I saw immediately after was the reaction. And two camps, as always, cropped up. One camp was, pro Charlie Kirk, we need to mourn and tone it down and all that stuff. And the other camp was cheering. A lot of people in the one camp that was mourning Charlie Kirk was shocked and angered by the cheering of the second camp, which, again, it didn't shock me. And what shocked me about the whole thing was that people were shocked. People were shocked that there were people cheering the death of Charlie Kirk. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. If anything, I expected it. I expected people to be celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I, well, at the time he hadn't died yet. He was just shot. But I expected people to celebrate it. And then, of course, the news a couple hours later came out saying that Charlie Kirk indeed died. And to be fair, when I saw the video, I saw what had happened, and I instantly knew he was not going to survive that. And if he magically survived it, he would have been altered for life. If anything, it probably was better, considering the life-altering effects. But, I'm sure that's going to get taken out of context, and a lot of people are going to hate me for it. But the point is, there's a point where your life quality is impacted so badly that it's just not worth it. At least that's my experiences in situations like that. Anyways, so back to what I was saying about what happened. Like I said, the reaction to the reaction of Charlie getting shot and his eventual death, that is what surprised me, because I honestly thought that those on the right would have known that those on the left want them gone. I don't want to use the G word, but let's go ahead and say they want them genocided. I've seen this. I've seen this coming. I went to college. I've seen the reaction. They literally think that words are violence. And I'm just surprised that everyone, I don't know, is surprised at it. So then I saw the mass cancel culture come back, where people who were cheering for Charlie Kirk's death were getting canceled online, and they were getting fired, and people reporting them to their jobs and all that stuff, and that didn't surprise me either. Again, it only reinforced my main bias, which is both sides suck, and there's no going back. There is no going back on any of this. I don't want to sit here and say that we're in civil war. We're not. I believe that we've been in a cold civil war for years now. And then when people like Thomas Crooks and the other guy that just pleaded out, he was found guilty in Florida, that also shot at Trump. All these issues are coming up. And it took the death of someone whose name everyone recognized to really understand what's going on. Look at what happened with Daniel Penny. He saw someone that was threatening people on the subway, and he was charged with murder. Yeah, he was found not guilty, but it didn't matter. The process is the punishment. I strongly believe that we're in not such a good place right now. And I'm not sitting here defending our country or anything like that. I think it's all done at this point. There's only one way out of this, and it's not pretty. But I said for a while now that I personally think that the only way for me is to break away, and I know that there's a bunch of people that agree with that. We're, create an alternative society, colony, whatever the heck you want to call it. The point is, find a bunch of like-minded people and go build something of your own somewhere far away from here. You know, I don't know what that looks like. I'm struggling to come up with a concept of my own. I've shown some people my thesis, and the response has been very positive. But like I said, the death of Charlie Kirk really did shake me to my core, because it only confirmed what I suspected for some time, which is we're too far gone, as is. We're not coming back. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's sad. I don't want that to happen. I don't think anybody who wants that to happen really understands what that really looks like, because they're so used to being able to turn on the light switch and power comes on, they have AC and all that stuff. And I think that's really going to be that final push, is when infrastructure starts getting attacked, which I know people have been attempting to attack infrastructure. Anyways, I know that as of right now, they have someone who has confessed to the Charlie Kirk killing, which I'm not going to get into that. Like, I have my issues with what was found evidence-wise. We still haven't seen the picture of the bullets. We still haven't seen really a lot of things that you would think you're going to see. And I don't think we're going to see a lot of stuff until a trial happens, you know, which that's expected. They got the guy alive, but we're only told what people have found. You know, we only got a picture of what is supposedly the rifle, but we only have one photo of that rifle. And then we were told that there was one round that was spent in the chamber and 4 other rounds, or 3 other rounds, or whatever story has been given to us. You know, we see a couple of grainy photos, and there was the one famous photo that was AI enhanced that looked like Ben Shapiro, or, you know, pick whoever it looked like. And people were saying, well, the guy that they got was not that guy. And it's like, of course not. It's AI enhanced. You know, AI has been known to add features and take away features and all that stuff. You know, and now we have alleged images of a guy walking down a street who's changed clothes, and then he's also in a Dairy Queen. And then his father, who happens to be a cop, is the one that turned him in, which everyone's saying, well, why hasn't he confessed to law enforcement now? Well, as anybody who has parents or anybody they love in law enforcement can tell you, the first thing they say is don't talk to a cop unless you got an attorney present. You know, and we still have due process in this country, or at least I would like to think so. So again, that doesn't surprise me either. And it just shows that not a lot of people know how our system works, or they do, and they're actively lying to you, and they're lying to me. And I don't know about any of you people, but I don't like being lied to. You know, there's a lot of ignorance as to how our system's supposed to work, and maybe having all these shows about law enforcement and the court system is probably not the best thing to do, because it has made things harder. I know a lot of people, a lot of attorneys have said that it makes it harder because in cases that actually go to trial, most of the time there isn't a smoking gun, you know, as the phrase is. A lot of it is circumstantial evidence. And a lot of juries are expecting like forensics and smoking gun kind of situation, and that doesn't really exist. You know, I I guess what I'm trying to say is, and I hope anybody who watches my channel realizes this, is smart enough to realize this, I should say, that this whole situation has not been pretty. And I hope everyone is smart enough to ask questions and not run into their little echo chambers and just have the same stuff regurgitated to them. You know, I'm sure the guy that they got was involved in some capacity. You know, but at the same time, we won't know. We won't know until there's trial and when we see evidence. You know, that's the big one, is seeing evidence. We're not going to know a lot of that stuff yet. You know, we've been told that the supposed boyfriend is now missing. We've been told a lot of things, which that's probably the biggest issue that I have with this situation, is we're told these things. You know, there's been little verifiable evidence, tangible evidence. It's all been hearsay. And there's a reason why hearsay is not admissible in court, because hearsay can be fabricated. Hearsay can be changed. I mean, if you ever played the telephone game when you were a kid, you would know that the message that you get is vastly different from the initial message. Things get lost in translation. Things disappear. Things get added. So what I'm trying to say is, for one, don't keep an open mind, obviously. Keep an open mind, you know, but don't expect to be told the whole truth for quite some time, if there is a whole truth. And that's the part that upsets me more than anything else, is we're not going to get the full story, ever. You know, even if there is a trial, which there probably will be, we're never going to get the full story. What's going to happen is they're going to tell a story. You know, it's going to be two sides of the same story. You know, and that's basically what a trial is you each side presents a story, and the jury determines which story is the more believable story. And you back up your story with evidence. Or, in the case of the defense, you just poke holes in the evidence of the prosecution. I would be very interested to watch this trial, but it doesn't matter what happens. You know, the battle lines are already drawn. They've been drawn for some time. I just hope that everybody understands that it doesn't matter at this point. It really doesn't. You know, you may want peace, but if your neighbor doesn't want peace, then you have no choice. You know, you're going to get dragged into this whether you want to participate or not, unless you completely isolate yourself. And I think that's really what I'm attempting to do, is I'm trying to get out of here now. I know that there's some people on the Discord that agree with that. And I hope those that are watching would also agree. And if you don't, that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything that I say. I mean, just keep an open mind, and I'm always willing to talk to you. Share ideas. Maybe you find something that you like, and you stick around. Maybe I appreciate some of your ideas and I incorporate them somehow. Anyways, I just I don't want anybody to it's gonna sound naive, but I don't want people to hate each other, but I guess we're already well past that point. There is a certain demographic of people that absolutely just hates um be it certain race or certain religion or certain political alliances. So again, what does it matter? There's what 8 billion people on this planet now. You're guaranteed to find someone who doesn't like you, but you're also guaranteed to find people that think a lot like you too. So I guess it's a push either way. I don't really have much more to say about it. I kind of, I was thinking about how I was going to present this, and it's funny how I had like a lot that I wanted to say, but when I actually sat down and said it, I didn't really say much, simply because I know that everyone's feeling this way. Just I regardless of what side you're on, I hope that you're safe, and I hope that you're above the childishness of what's going on out there. That's all I can really say right now. Oops, I didn't mean to hit the mic. Either way, I don't want to see you and your loved ones hurt for some pettiness, but I guess that's where this is going. It's all petty now. Anyways, I'm gonna end this video now. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad to be back. I'm sad that this is the first video of me being back, but hey, such is life. And hey, look, we got a new background. I'll talk about it in a future video, but yeah, I moved, so the background's different. But we're gonna do some interesting stuff, so. Anyways, I just want you to hope. I just hope you're doing all right, and we'll get through this together. Okay. All right. Well, have a good day and enjoy life, because life is precious. All life is precious.